All right, guys, it's Kelly, and as you just heard, I have Karen Chaston with me, and I'm so excited. I always love talking to her. Hey, Karen, how are you doing?
Great, thank you, Kelly, and I love talking to you too.
So we have something really cool to talk about today, and it's something that is it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart because it's something that I definitely struggle with. We're going to talk about saying no and sometimes how difficult that can be, and I think it's really interesting that you suggested this topic because I was just discussing with a friend of mine how we're both not very good at that, and so I wanted to hear your views on it, and this is something I'm sure you speak with other people about as well.
Oh, yes, I speak to a lot of people about learning how to say no, but then also learning how to say yes, because we need to say both, but we're just probably doing both of them the wrong way, if that makes sense.
No, for me it does, but for maybe our listeners who don't understand the difference, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so first of all, we'll start with learning how to say no. Now, most people say yes when they should really be saying no. And the reason that we do that is we do it because we want to be good friends, we want to help people out, but really what we're doing when we are saying when we are saying yes to others, we're actually saying no to ourselves. And that's not good because we're here to live our life. We're here to make sure that we achieve everything that we have been brought here to do. And more importantly, we're here to have fun. We're here to have joy in our life. And how often, when we say yes to others, we don't get a lot of joy out of it. We're actually there because we feel we have to be there. And we're not really all that excited about doing it, even though we did say yes to them. Have you noticed that?
I have definitely noticed that. There's many times where, I want to use the word obligated because that's what I felt. I felt I was obligated to say yes to certain things, and no, they're not very fun. I mean, there may be some sort of satisfaction in feeling like you're helping somebody, but there's sometimes when I know there's other things I should be taking care of or getting done, but I'm really trying to help someone else.
Exactly. And have you noticed that it drains your energy
Oh, yes.
and it drains your time?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, now, energy is obviously something that we require, and we need to have energy all day long, not just in the morning. And the fact that we're doing things for other people, we will probably drain our energy, and therefore we're not going to do all the things that we had set out to do, which means we're not moving steps closer to our goals. We're not achieving, we're not becoming that person that we so desire to be. But more importantly, it drains our time. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, time is the only resource in our world that cannot be replaced.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, we don't have forever time. You know, we have a certain amount of time that we need to get things done.
That's correct, but not only that, unless you've got a different birth certificate than me, I don't have an expiry date on mine. Mm-hmm. Do you have one on yours?
Not that I know of.
Exactly. So how much time do we have? We truly don't know. So that's why we should be making sure that we are using our most valuable resource to make sure that we are living our life, okay? Yes. And I'm pretty sure you've heard me say before that you are the only one you are going to spend your entire life with. So why are you giving up on your dreams? Why are you putting yourself last? And why are you being obligated to other people instead of being obligated to yourself?
That's true. Now, what are some of the ways we can see where the difference comes in? Because, I mean, obviously there are things we should be saying yes to. There's times when we should help people. There's times when we should be there. But how do we know when it's too much?
Okay. Well, this is really easy. So the first one is ask yourself a couple of questions. So have a little bit of distance between the request and your answer. Don't just go, okay. Okay, so have a little bit of distance so you can ask yourself these questions. So the first question is this going to bring me joy? The second question is this going to drain my time and energy? Mm-hmm. And the third question is this going to move me closer towards my goals? Oh. Now, they're pretty simple questions.
Yes.
Okay? And more than likely, if you get no, no, no for the whole three of them, it's a definite no. You just have to say no. So it's pretty easy. If you get a 2 out of 3, well, then you can decide. And if you obviously get a yes to all of them, so you make sure that, is it going to bring me joy? Yes. Okay, that's really cool. Is it going to drain my time and energy? Well, maybe it will, but I can do my exercises to make sure that I pep myself back up. And then the third one is it going to move me closer to my goal? Maybe, but it may be yes or maybe no, because one of your goals will be to develop amazing relationships. So maybe that will be helping you in that part of the area of your life, because it's not just about, your professional life, it's about all of your relationships.
No, that's true. And I think sometimes, because I know I have people in my life who I think are they're definitely the opposite way than me, but sometimes I think it is not good, because sometimes they say no to everything if it doesn't benefit themselves. But what you said makes so much sense as far as developing, relationships. We need to, aside from developing, we need to keep those relationships in a good place. We need to make sure we're nurturing those relationships. And if we say no to helping other people all of the time because it's not benefiting us, or so we think, then that's not healthy either.
That's correct. That's totally right. But you do also need to look at your relationships and make sure that all of your relationships should be in your life. Because sometimes we keep friends in our life who we really maybe should have said goodbye to them a few years ago. So it's also about making sure that all your relationships are healthy as well, and that you are on the same page, because we don't want energy drainers in our life as well.
No, that is definitely true. In fact, there's a friend of mine, and she's a good friend, but I believe that sometimes she's very quick to not work on her own problems herself, and she's, especially her, I'm like her ripcord. When things go wrong, I'm the phone call that gets called to come and try to fix those problems. And of course, I like to be there and be a good friend, but sometimes it's to the point where I kind of have to let that phone go to voicemail, because I know it's best for her to try to work on those problems herself. And I think
exactly.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we all have, that person in our lives that we need to just sometimes
and
put
did
those
she ever
barriers
listen
up.
to you, Kellie? Did she ever take your advice?
I think for 5 minutes, and then it's back to what she wants to do.
Exactly. So that's why you're like, I'm not taking the phone call. I've given her the advice. I've given her great advice. She never takes the action steps. She's going to do whatever she wants to. So why am I draining my energy even talking to her?
Yes, that is definitely true. And it very much does. It is a very energy draining type of situation. And it doesn't mean she's not a good friend or someone that I don't want to have in my life. But sometimes I just need to put that distance between.
So maybe you should have that conversation with her. Just say, look.
I think I should.
This is what I see, and I want to be there for you, but what's the point of it? You're not going to do what I say, or you're just going to do what you want to do. So how about you solve your own problems? Because that's what life's about.
Yes, definitely. Now, when working with people, have you found for some people it is difficult for them to have those kinds of conversations?
Oh, totally. But it's because they haven't done the work before the conversation. They haven't actually figured out what's the benefit of having this conversation. Where are we going to go with it? How are we going to then move on to it? And it's about planning conversations that are difficult and visualizing the way that it'll go, which really helps it go that way, as opposed to like just walking in, not really knowing what to say and bumbling through it. And then obviously both get emotional, which doesn't help. And then it ends up being a bit of a, I was going to say shit fest, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I guess I just said it.
Yes, it's already out there.
I just know that in Australia that word isn't as naughty as what it is in America.
No. It's so funny, too. I was just listening to a podcast where they were talking about how certain words in Australia are just not the same. In other countries, I'm sure, too, but in Australia was what they were talking about, are just very different from the way we see them in America.
That reminds of the word thong, right, for example. So thong in America is like a G-string, whereas in Australia it's what we wear on our feet. We call them flip-flops.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't know that. That is really funny.
It is funny. And I actually saw a comedian in America when I was back in New York in 2010, and he was actually talking about, he was talking about Australians and how they call it this, but he was talking about it from an American visualising an Australian talking about thongs, and they're going, what do you mean you put them on your feet? It was hilarious.
That is really
But anyway,
funny.
we're off topic. So now we go on to when to say yes. Okay, so I've just told you to learn to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, well, now you're telling me to learn to say yes? Like, what are you on about? So this is really important, right? So as I said, we say yes to the wrong things. And we're saying no to the wrong things, okay? So when to learn to say yes. Anyway, when to learn to say yes is when you feel fear about the request and your whole body goes into that little bit of angst. You know, you get that sort of tummy tightening and you think, oh, my God, there's no way I could ever do that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Have you ever had that?
Oh, yes, I have.
That's when you say yes. That's when your body is saying it's time for you to get out of your comfort zone. It's time for you to grow. And your whole body is actually going, oh, my God, I'm really comfortable in my comfort zone. I know, I'm not in survival. I'm really comfortable. And it's not scary here. But you need to grow. That's what life's about, learning and growing, learning and growing. So when you sort of feel a little bit like that and the request really scares you, that's when you say yes. And, as long as it's legal, don't do it if it's not legal.
No,
and as long as you're, physically going, seriously, I don't think I'd ever jump out of a plane with a parachute. You know what I mean? I have no desire to do that. And that's not going to move me closer to any of my goals. So if you feel, oh, my God, if I do this, I might be that one step closer. And I think I always quote Richard Branson, but I just love him. And his most famous quote is, if you're asked to do something and you don't know how to do it, say yes and figure it out later.
Huh. Now, I can imagine people responding to that by saying, well, I need to weigh the options, I need to make a decision, but I think that could also be overthinking it a little bit.
Totally, and that's just your comfort zone going, no, it's scary out there. Stay here. I know how to keep you safe here. But you're never going to grow because you're only there. And a lot of your friends want to keep you in your comfort zone because they know who you are there. And they think that they're helping you by saying things like, why would you want to do that? How are you going to get ahead by doing that? All those sort of things. But actually, they're just keeping you down where they are. And whereas when you learn and grow, obviously you develop more, you'll meet new friends, you'll become this person who you want to be. But you've got to learn to say yes to those things. And there's a great, we've spoken about this before, I'm pretty sure, where a woman will look at a job and she will go, I can do 95% of that job. I'm not going to apply. I need to learn that 5%. Whereas a man will look at the job and he will go, I can do 60% of that job. I'm going to apply for that. Mm-hmm. Okay? So that's where women really need to go, do you know what? I'm going to say yes to this. I'm going to apply for this. Because that 5%, I can learn on the job. And there's this really great resource. It's called Google. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes, in fact, I have.
Exactly. So that's where you can learn how to do that 5%. There's videos on everything out there.
I was just going to say that between YouTube and Google, you can literally learn how to do pretty much anything.
Exactly. That's why, it's life's university in more ways than one. You can learn anything. So why wouldn't you apply for that job? You may get it, and even if you don't get it, you can start learning those skills, and then when it comes up again, you can just go, yeah, I can do this. And, how often do you sort of go, oh, I don't want to go out tonight. I'm feeling really tired. I'm just not going to go. And then you go, no, get up and go. So you've then said yes. And you always have the best times, don't you?
Oh, that is so true, especially when you're really trying to push yourself to stay home. You've convinced yourself 99 different ways that the best option for you is to stay home. But when you do go out, you do have a really good time.
Exactly. And then, and it works the other way as well. When you're too excited about it, it never seems to work out as good. I've never enjoyed a New Year's Eve. I don't know what will happen.
I think New Year's
but
Eve
they're
is...
never as exciting.
No, it's always disappointing.
I know, because you oversell it in your mind. You just think, yeah, it's going to be, and it never is, because you think, I don't know, I've got to stay up till 12. I think it's because you have to stay up to 12, whereas any other time, you're more than happy to be out till 2, 3 a.m. But it's the fact you have to that makes it go, no, I don't want to do that.
And it's so funny that you brought up that example, because I think that always happens. You know, you try to make these plans and you're like, I'm going to have the best New Year's Eve ever. And it always, I think when you just wing it and you just say, I'm just going to do whatever comes my way, that's usually when it's enjoyable.
Exactly. I totally agree. And then the other option is when which is one of my pet hates, is when you have two events on the same night. And you go, I don't know what I'm going to do. Which one will I go to? Which one I go to? And you end up going to both, and you never enjoy either of them. So that's where you've got to say yes to one and no to the other, and just own your decision.
I just really like how you've really broken it down, because, you know, I think people, again, just, you know, as humans, we overanalyze everything, but you've just given us these great tools on how to make these decisions that seem so difficult otherwise. But, it's so true. I think if we listen to our bodies more and we listen to what we're feeling, well, the decisions can be much easier to make.
Oh, so much so. And look, our body is truly the barometer to our soul, to our heart and soul. And we need to really start listening to our body and start to realise when we get twinges in our body, what does it mean? And one of my favourite resources is Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. And, anytime I get a twinge or anytime someone else is sick, I'll look up that book and I'll go, okay, this means this. And they'll go, oh, yeah, it does sort of relate to what's happening in my life. Your body is truly telling you everything. And we ignore it. I know I ignored it when I was a CFO of my publicly listed company. I totally ignored it. And that's why I continually say, you do not have to spend your health in order to get your wealth. And it comes back to listening to your body.
Yes, that is so true. And, I wanted to ask, have you always kind of known these decision-making skills? Was this something that you always felt, or was this something that you had to kind of learn along the way?
Learn along the way. And that's why I love sharing my wisdom with young women and men, for that matter, because it's like you don't have to reinvent anything. Like, in the information age that we're in now, you can take on all of this wisdom of so many great people who are sharing it. And the sooner you take it on, the sooner you actually go, do you know what? Oh, my God, my life is so much easier. But it is about taking time. You should always have distance between the request and your answer, right? Mm-hmm. And don't overanalyze it, but ask your body. Ask yourself questions. I always say, where you are in life always comes back to the questions you are asking yourself, because the answers are waiting to be revealed, and then the action steps will just naturally flow from those answers. But it has to be you asking yourself the questions. Like, I can remember once, I got a request from my brother to babysit or something when we were down there. They had an open house. They were selling their house. And when they asked me, I just went, yeah, whatever. Right? I didn't even, and then they said, I remember you doing this, and I went, what? When did I say that? And they said, well, you just said whatever. Uh-huh. And I did. At that stage, that was my request to everything, my answer to everything. Oh, yeah, whatever, sort of thing. And so it really came back to bite me, because I didn't even remember the request. And I got stuck looking after these kids, tidying up their house for an open house while they had gone out the night before and stayed somewhere.
Oh, my gosh, that sounds awful.
It was awful. And I thought, well, it's your own fault. You didn't listen and you didn't have distance.
Yes. Now, sometimes I think we can take too much time making a decision. How do we know when we're taking too much time?
Ask our body. I'm a great believer. I muscle test everything. And I know a lot of people go, what's muscle testing?
What is muscle testing?
Okay. So what it is muscle testing is your body has answers for you. okay? And you're actually tapping into your subconscious, your unconscious sort of mind. So it's really simple to do. So if you stand up and take a couple of breaths, make sure you're hydrated, and you just stand still, right? And you ask yourself, you have to double check what your yes and no is. So you stand up and you go, okay, my name is Karen, okay? You just stand there, and your body will either go forward or back. Mm-hmm. It just does it, all right? And people go, you do that. And I'll go, you do it. And so, and you've got to test what your yes is. And then you would say something so you've got to test your yes, you've got to test your no. And then you go, my name is Fred. And your body will go back. Most people go forward for yes, most people go back for no. But you've got to test it because some people do it the reverse. Then you ask yourself a question. You say, is it in my highest interest to say yes to this? And your body will either go forward or back. So that's a really quick little tool. Try it later and you will be amazed and you'll go, how does it do it? And it's just energy and it's just your body helping you. It's just another little quick trick that everyone is amazed when they learn it. Have you ever heard of a kinesiologist?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, that's what they do is they actually muscle test your whole body, ask you questions, if there's something that's wrong with you. And a lot of kinesiologists are starting to work with doctors as well now, which is really great because they both have benefits for their patients. And that's all they use is muscle testing. And they do it different ways. But I find it the easiest way for yourself is to do it standing up. So test it and see. So that's just another little barometer. But you can ask yourself the questions and just sit back. You can ask a question and then meditate. Your answer will come. There's so many different ways that you can find out things for yourself. And the more you do it, the more you're increasing your intuition, the more you're actually feeling that you understand things, and you will become quicker at making your decisions. And you will know what's in your highest interest and what's not. But let's face it, at the end of the day, we all pretty well know we just want to do the opposite.
No, that is very true. It just almost seems like it's a natural reaction to do the opposite of what we should be doing.
Exactly, because do you know what? It comes back to our comfort zone. Where we are, we're comfortable. And, you know, our first requirement in life is to be safe. And that's what we are when we're in our comfort zone. Our second one is to thrive. And most people don't thrive because they're too busy being comfortable. You have to put yourself out there. You have to, take those scary steps to actually get ahead, to actually, do things. Whereas most people are like, you know what, I'm happy in my Groundhog Day days. I don't even realise I'm in a Groundhog Day days. And that's what they do. They go through life, just being really angry and bitching about their life, but not doing anything to take the steps to improve their life. It's just easier to sit back and just whinge about it.
Well, and that's what I was going to mention, and I love when you use the term Groundhog Day your life, because that's, something that you were talking about that you did, and you were able to completely change your life, and you stepped out of that comfort zone, and you made these changes. And it's amazing because I know for some people, they go through their entire lives without getting out of that comfort zone. And I'm sure you've seen this in your experience with working with people.
I have seen it, and I have to say, it's not easy to take those steps. Believe me, it's been a long walk for me, and at times a very lonely walk, because a lot of my friends and family did not understand what I was doing. They thought, no, this is who Karen was. This isn't Karen. And I'm going, this who I am now is actually the real Karen. Mm-hmm. I lost the real Karen in that walk. And as you go through it, you're going to have a lot of demons come up. You are going to have a lot of things, and that's why a lot of people don't do it. It's going, this is just too hard. Looking at myself, seriously looking at myself, you've got a lot of shadow sides that need to be dealt with. You've got a lot of things that, and this is where it's really interesting. What you don't like in other people, you have in yourself. Mm-hmm. And actually looking at that and learning that and understanding that isn't that easy at times. Because then you go, okay, so I don't like that person for all these reasons. But when you start to do the work and when you start to really delve into who you are and understand that, you actually end up thanking that person for actually showing you something about you that needs to be healed, needs to be changed, and then you can release it from you. And that's what life's about, is looking at both sides of you. We're not all, we live in a magnetic field. We require the balance. We require the yin and the yang.
Yeah, no, we certainly do. And I think a part of growing is letting go of some of these things that we've held with us for so long that really hold us back from pushing forward. And I think a lot of people are afraid to let go of certain things about themselves because, as you said earlier, it's part of their comfort zone. It's part of that little bubble that seems to keep us safe. But again, if we're still holding these things and we're still staying in that little bubble, we won't be able to find out these wonderful new experiences that we could have, or these, new wonderful things about ourselves. And we're really missing out.
Exactly. And that's put so well, Kellie, because it's all about experiences. And I think we've spoke about the 5 regrets of the dying, haven't we?
Yes, I believe we have. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And see, so one of I think the first one, number one, was, I wish I'd had the courage to live the life true to me. So that's where it comes back to, what is a life true to me? And figuring that out, taking time to actually write down what that life would be, and then taking the action steps to actually create that life.
Yeah, almost like making a blueprint for the life that you should have.
Yes, and most people don't do that. Most people do not sit down and go, what does success mean to me? They take on other people's definitions. They don't actually go, no, success to me is actually this. It may be X for you and it's Y for me, but that's okay. And it doesn't matter. Because if you want to live a life of fulfillment, you want to actually, go on to your next adventure when we part this realm, and actually go, do you know what? I actually don't have any regrets. I actually did those scary things, and I'm so glad I did. Like, for example, I just love it, the world that we live in now. A lot of people in Australia, a lot of young couples and stuff, they're actually packing up their kids and they're hiring a camper van and they're driving around Australia for a year, homeschooling their kids. And what an adventure is that? Now, I just thought, wow, those kids are going to get so many more life lessons by that adventure than sitting in school for a year worrying about their grades.
Oh, yes, 100%. I mean, think of all of the things they'll be able to see and take with them. And I mean, as long as they're still getting some kind of schooling while they're on the road, they're getting almost like a double kind of school experience. You're getting that life on the road, and you're getting the crucial things that you need.
Exactly. And imagine all the different people they're going to meet, all the different cultures they're going to see. Sure, it's all Australia, but there's so many different people. They can actually see the different way that people live their life. Because let's face it, city living is completely different to country living. And just being able to see that, as well as see our great country, is just, I just find, oh my God, that's so courageous of you to do it. Sure, they're not doing it when they're in their final year of school. I think that may be a little bit silly. But all of the other, I just think, oh, my God, they would grow so much more. They'll be so more worldly. And they're the adults that will then come into the world and they'll understand people. And that's what life's about, understanding that people are different. And it's okay that they're different.
That is so true. Well, unfortunately, Karen, we have run out of time. But again, as always, I love speaking with you. And listeners, you can find out more about Karen and all these wonderful, amazing things that she does. You can go to KarenChaston.com.au, and there you can find more about her books and her program. And Karen, I want to thank you again for coming on the show today. And I know we're going to talk again soon, but it's just always a pleasure to take the time out and speak with you.
Thank you, Kellie. We certainly go on a journey when we talk to each other, don't we?
We certainly do, and I know you always teach me so many things and really help me, so I know our listeners are getting so much out of what you say, so thank you again for helping us all out.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice for you to say. That's what life's about.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Karen. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
Right. Bye-bye.